Hi, everyone, again, and welcome to another insightful session of ECGrid Presents. My name is Linda Moore, and for those new to us, Lauren Data ECGrid is a leading provider of B2B connectivity through cloud-based EDI solutions and unmatched customer support. In this month's edition of ECGrid Presents, we're diving into a topic that deviates from the usual tech talk. So we're talking about unlocking real career opportunities through industry user groups. So think mentorship that actually mentors, education that sparks creativity, and collaboration that truly contributes to career or professional growth. So to guide us on this quest for professional expansion, we have a true veteran of the IT trenches with us today. For the past 30 years, Ira Keltz has been a cornerstone of the digital IT group at Mass General Brigham Healthcare. But Ira isn't just about conquering massive IT projects, though. He's also a seasoned leader in the user group world. For a couple of decades, he's been at the helm of NEECOM, a professional EDI, B2B, and supply chain user group. So if anyone knows the secret sauce to extracting real value from these industry communities, it's Ira. As usual, your questions and comments are welcome through Zoom Q&A anytime during the presentation. And yes, we will be sharing the recording with everyone. So we encourage your active participation, be it through questions and for the online polls. And now, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Ira Keltz. Ira, the virtual stage is yours.
Hey, folks, thank you for joining. My name is Ira Keltz, and I'm thrilled to be here today. Thank you all for taking time out of your day to hear about this topic that I do know quite a bit about. Just to recap, Linda did mention that I've been at Mass General Brigham for many years, currently in the Workday team. I do have experience in those fields, and I've been president of NEECOM for a long time. My education goes back to Michigan State University, go green, go white, and I have a business management degree in hotel, restaurant, and institutional management, which has definitely helped my hospitality skills. I'm also certified as project management and in ITIL, and someday I hope to be the future president of the Hair Club for Men, New Hampshire chapter. Being part of NEECOM, we do have an event coming up in 2 weeks, and we're very excited about this because you have made the effort to be here with us on this webinar this afternoon. I have a special gift for you that I know you're going to enjoy, so please stick around, and at the end of the presentation, I'll reveal what's in the box. Okay, let's get started. Beyond networking, real career advancement through industry user groups. Look at me in that Zoom window. So we're going to talk about today, what is a user group? What are the different kinds of them? We'll talk about benefits, advantages, and the challenges of user groups. I'm going to give some secret tips about how to be most effective in networking at these events. And then we'll talk about some other really good stuff. User groups, how they can boost your real life career prospects and your professional growth. We'll talk about the future of user groups. We'll then have a Q&A, plus that special surprise at the end. Linda, next up is the quiz. Can you pull that up?
All right, so you should be seeing a question with some actually 2 questions with multiple choice answers. So we invite you to please put your answers in.
Yeah, the questions are, how many positions have you ever applied for via an online job site? And then scroll down for the second one, which is how many positions have you been successfully hired for? So those 2 questions, please take a second, fill in those radio buttons, and we will then show the results. All right, so it looks like the majority of you have never filled out an online application, and a couple of you, 2 and 2, or 1 and 1, have done 2 or more. So that's a good answer. So actually, I'm sorry, let me scroll up because I was at the top. 78% of you, 7 out of 9, have applied for between 1 and 10 jobs. And 1 of you has applied for more than that. Again, out of those 1 to 10 jobs that you've applied for, half of you have never been hired from that, and the other 2 have a couple times each. So thank you for doing that. Basically, the whole point of this poll is this. The reality is that the vast majority of jobs that you see posted online have already either been filled or the hiring manager already has a preferred candidate. Legally, they have to post all the open positions. So what you really want are the open jobs that aren't posted yet. So how do you find jobs that haven't been posted yet? Well, here we go, user groups. And a user group is a community of individuals who do things like they share common interests, in this case, technology. They exchange knowledge, they get together to do that. They collaborate together, and user groups support each other. They cover broad topics with subgroups for specialized interests. But there's basically 4 types of user groups. Let's run through them. The first one is a vendor-sponsored community user group. Tech giants like Microsoft, who have a lot of different applications, have individual groups for subtypes of their stuff. Again, Oracle, huge company, has bought so many different companies and applications. All of those have their individual user groups. Adobe, another example, here's a Long Island group that gets together. And Apple, these groups give insights to upcoming products and features, like the new Apple Watches, iPhones, MacBooks, or iOS versions in Apple's ecosystem. Here's Natalie, who made a comment about her Adobe Marketo user group. The fact that she loves that she at least always gets at least one thing to take away from the events that she can take back to her office or her job and implement immediately, or a new tool or trick that she's learned just by attending these groups. She also likes the fact that the virtual groups can bring people in from all over the world to participate and offer input. The second type of user group are the professional user groups. This example of this would be PMI, the Project Management Institute. They host national, regional, and local groups to facilitate networking, career development, and to provide insights into industry best practices. They offer highly respected certifications, workshops, and training opportunities and webinars. And this is where I got my professional PMP certification. So that was a good one. Another type of professional user group would be the Scrum Alliance. And there's one from Wisconsin that popped up. They're located in 46 different countries and boost over 110,000 members worldwide. So again, another type of project management group, but huge. The third kind is the membership-based. So these are usually funded by member companies. These type of user groups work on things like setting standards for EDI documents or other business things, like GS1's an example of this. So they're best known for barcodes. And GS1 has 118 local member organizations and over 2 million user companies. Their main office is located in Brussels, but if you want to do business online with Amazon or pretty much any retailer, Walmart, eBay, you need to use GS1, be assigned a company identifier or company prefix, and each of your items needs a GTIN or a global trade identification number. Without those things, you can't do business. So it's a big deal. Another kind of membership-based organization is X12. Oh, let's go back one. X12 develops standards for hundreds of different document types, mostly in the US. There's another one for overseas called EDIFACT, but X12 was chartered by American National Standards Institute 40 years ago, and they do document types for all kinds of industries. And they meet regularly to talk about the standards, develop new ones, and it's like over 300 different transaction standards are available. So they do a lot of work there. WEDI is also known as the Work Group for Electronic Data Interchange. This is the healthcare group that was brought together when HIPAA was mandated by the US government. back in 1996. So the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, big companies, insurance companies, Travelers, Blue Cross, American Medical Association, American Hospital Association, tons of different organizations all had input into these standards and have created the amazing healthcare system we have today in our country. No sarcasm. Another user group, membership-based, is the RVCF, a Retail Value Chain Federation. And this is a shining example of collaboration between retail vendors and their suppliers. Good friend Kim Zablocki has been leading this effort for 25 years. And this model has saved both sides of the relationship millions of dollars in cost savings. He's able to host this RVCF event each year in Scottsdale and provide a place for the suppliers and the retailers to sit down face-to-face at a table and talk to each other in person to work out complicated EDI and process issues that can result in significant reductions in chargebacks to the suppliers. That conversation can result in folks going back to their offices with tens of thousands of dollars in bottom line savings for these organizations. So kudos to Kim and his team for making a difference in supply chain, EDI, B2B world. And another piece of this is Kim has been instrumental in matching up companies who are looking for experienced EDI talent that attend his events with companies looking to hire those folks. And he estimates that he's helped between 70 and 80 EDI professionals find their next job. And he doesn't get paid for this work. It's a shining example of giving back to his profession. Service over self. We'll talk a little bit about that more later. This is the magic of networking at the industry user groups. The last type of user group are the independent user groups. And folks like this, it's a wide-ranging field. If you're into open source technologies or knowledge sharing or maximizing system potentials, this is the type of group that would do that. The first one we're going to talk about is NESCON, or the New England Supply Chain Conference and Expo. Pre-COVID, this was a huge event. They'd have multi-track speakers, huge vendor exhibits, hundreds of attendees. But now post-COVID, they shifted to completely online or virtual format. But they've got an event coming up. It's always the first Monday in October. It's free, it's online, and you can attend. Lots of great supply chain topics and speakers as well. I highly recommend it. Another independent example of an independent user group would be the San Francisco Python Meetup Group. So whether you're into Linux or CX, customer experience, UX, user experience, or specific computer languages like C++, or Perl, or COBOL, whatever it is, there's a group for you. When I searched the San Francisco Python, this came up as about the fourth option. Okay, finally, NEECOM, our baby. NEECOM is also considered an independent user group. We're led by an all-volunteer board, and we continue to provide EDI, B2B supply chain professionals a forum to network and learn new things, like about AI or about the 2D barcodes rolling out. And some of you may have attended last month's ECGrid Presents webinar with Amy Reiter on that barcode topic. You can note the very stylish NEECOM barbecue apron modeled by my colleague Joe Mandato at a previous NEECOM event. And you can see that ECGrid also co-sponsored a NEECOM event back in 2023. This was one thing I thought was hilarious. Anyone still here? There's an in-person user group meeting coming up in July in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Yes, Sheboygan, the Malibu of the Midwest. Thought that was hilarious for some reason. The next section, I'm going to cover the benefits, advantages, and the sobering challenges that face user groups this year and beyond. But let's first briefly talk about the power of the professional association. And it isn't just about going to a user group conference just to hear about a topic that you're interested in. You can do that on YouTube. Instead, it's about building the personal relationships, working your way into the fabric of the association, and making what could be lifelong friends, business contacts, and maybe getting a call about providing job references or new opportunities, even the inside scoop on what the next big thing that's coming. And these are coming from reliable sources, people like-minded professionals who do the same thing you do for work. They're your friends and colleagues. And you don't just go to these events because you need something. You go because you want to grow and because you should. Being a member of professional user groups that are related to your job give you an opportunity to learn things that you can bring back to your company that provide real value, real cost savings. And, it's unlike what you might hear from a generic salesperson from that vendor, you're going to get an honest, candid answer from a trusted colleague, which is that's something that has real value. So it can be the difference between getting a product that can get you promoted versus getting a product that can get you fired. So it definitely has value. Let's talk about the benefits and advantages of some user groups. They're great for exchanging stories, solving problems, and learning from others. You get to share your tips and pick up new skills from fellow members. Whether you're a newcomer or a seasoned pro, user groups offer prime networking opportunities. You connect with like-minded individuals, industry pros, and potential collaborators or employers. A lot of user groups offer early access to beta tests or product previews, or you might get insights directly from the developers. And user groups also often have the scoop on the next big thing that's coming. Plus, you can influence the products. Your feedback can shape the products that you love. User groups provide platform for members to suggest features and improvements. From workshops to webinars, user groups offer ongoing learning opportunities to keep you updated with the latest trends, certifications, and skills. And a lot of companies do benchmarking metrics for different areas of their business. So having these personal relationships and direct access to fellow professional colleagues from other companies who likely have similar business challenges gives you the opportunity to find solutions that you're dealing with at your job. So you may ask, how do you deal with Walmart, Bloomingdale's? What's your kickout rate of these invoices? We're getting killed on chargebacks this month. How are you dealing with these? What are you doing with your spreadsheet uploads? Questions like that, that are really a pain in your butt at the office, but other companies may have a better solution that your colleagues will share with you. Now, for this section, I may use a few NEECOM examples, but this does apply for all the different types of user groups. Independent user groups face several challenges today, and they include, so many companies have been bought by huge firms through mergers and acquisitions. They've been sold or bankrupt. Or they moved to different areas of the country or even other countries, other areas of the country or other countries. 20 years ago, there were hundreds of companies in the Northeast that ran their own EDI software in-house, and they were active in user groups, like NEECOM. We ran 3 events a year, and every year since then, we've struggled to draw big numbers. And consolidations and bankruptcies of other retailers has been a big reason. Second reason is companies are in a cost-saving mode. They've dramatically reduced travel and training budgets for their people. With the global economic uncertainty around recessions, tariffs, and political drama with China, companies are making it they're more wary of what they're spending their money on. And even though the cost for companies to attend a NEECOM event is minimal, it's more difficult for folks to get approval to travel, especially from other parts of the country, to attend our events, or even locally. Third challenge is aging volunteer leadership and membership reaching retirement age. So it's been challenging to get younger folks who are doing this work to get involved with the organization. Back in the day, I was the new kid. I came in back, near 2000 or 1999. And Wayne Marshall, the founder of NEECOM, reminded me that there used to be 30 or 40 different EDI user groups across the country, and we're the last one standing right now. So call us stubborn or whatever you want to call us, but we're still around. Next trend is outsourcing. Along with the consolidation of companies, outsourcing EDI services to third-party vendors or offshore has taken a significant number of jobs elsewhere. A lot of companies have sacrificed control of their documents and the ability to react quickly to issues in order to save money by outsourcing the work. Another challenge, pandemic. Everyone shifted from in-office work to fully remote from home. People found that they were able to move to different parts of the country and still keep their jobs while working from home. We shifted to a virtual format, as well as NESCOM did for a few years. But now that we're free to travel and return to the office, we're facing a challenge to get folks to come back to in-person events. And when folks went fully remote, many changed jobs. They changed careers or even retired. Finding the new contacts at these companies, folks who are doing this work, has been a challenge for a lot of volunteer organizations. So how do we counter these? And we cover the doom and gloom, but what can user groups actually do about it? Well, we remind folks that professional user groups have benefits as well. This webinar is a great first step. We look at our organizational structure, try to improve that. We reach out to try to find the next generation of leaders who understand and believe in the value of the organization. We expand our marketing efforts, ideally through new people, new energy, new ways to connect. If you're not on Instagram or TikTok, you're not going to reach the next generation of young professionals who are in these roles. They text, they don't talk to people. They keep a job for maybe 2 years, they move on. So there's not a lot of long-term networking and professional relationships that are going on. And to find the current employees, we need to conduct direct outreach. We need to find out where these folks are. Finally, we should probably look at shifting to an in-person conference once per year and add more virtual events or meetups, and following trend of other user groups. So if we can, connect with folks and do more virtually, that's another way we can counter the challenges going forward. All right, so I'm going to, again, Kim Zablocki shared that he found that with his RBCF group, companies that he deals with, the major retailers and suppliers, they don't want to spend money on something unless it does one of two things. It either saves them money or reduces their cost. They're all bottom line focused. So we need to remind companies of the value of EDI today. EDI is still the backbone of all B2B major companies. It's not going away anytime soon. So we need to continue to evangelize the benefits of EDI to company leadership. And those include, and we all know this before, fewer data errors. So indirect cost savings including direct cost savings via automation, less errors, less manual processing. The more you push through automation, the lower your costs are. So it still costs, $35 or $50 to manually process an invoice at most companies when you have to touch it. So utilizing new features like AI or platforms as a service or software as a service to increase your accuracy. You get tighter integration between systems. If there's silos of information that your systems are not talking to each other, there's a great opportunity to reduce costs. And finally, we mentioned reduction in chargebacks. So like Kim said, if a major supplier sends someone to the event, they're expecting them to come back with a check, or going forward, major reduction in bottom line costs. All right, now we're getting into the good stuff here. Please pay attention.
Ira, I do have a question from the audience, if you would.
Okay.
So as someone who's hesitant to join a user group due to time constraints or feeling like they don't have anything to contribute, what's one thing I can do to get involved to start seeing some tangible benefits?
We're going to cover that a little bit later, but what if you don't have time to dedicate to a group? That's totally understandable. If you can make it to the events and network with people, meet people, that's the best thing you can do initially for your career, is to get connected with fellow professionals and have an ongoing conversation with them. Build your network. That's the biggest thing that I could recommend. And just stay up to date, stay involved, and this is a great way to connect to the group and stay in touch. Hope that helps. But we'll talk more about how to best do that coming up here. Great question. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, and remember this webinar is being recorded, so you can rewatch it later or use it in court or whatever you got to do with it. But thank you for that. Let's talk about the most effective ways to network. The biggest thing you can do prepare before you go. Before you attend the group, do some research on the agenda topics or the speakers, the organizers or the attendees if that information is available ahead of time. This will help you with some background knowledge, identify your goals, and plan questions. You can also reach out to the organizers or the speakers directly via email or LinkedIn and express your interest in their session. And do a pre-introduction. Start a dialogue even before the event. And this is key because you'll be more visible and memorable when you do meet them in person. Say, hey, Jane, I was the guy who reached out to you. We chatted about this. She goes, oh my God, so nice to meet you in person. And you've made a solid connection as opposed to somebody just from the audience who comes up afterwards and says, nice job. So the second thing, and I can't overemphasize this enough, dress professionally. If you want to be taken seriously as a professional or someone looking to advance your career into either management or executive level, start here. When you're mingling or networking with thought leaders or CEOs or vice presidents, and your appearance makes a big difference. One way to establish credibility is to dress professionally at these events. The vast majority of attendees will be wearing what they wear to the office, usually khakis. And for those of you from the Boston area, khakis are pants, not what you use to start your car. Okay. So the vast majority of attendees will be wearing what they wear to the office. Or if they work from home, it's likely bunny slippers. So you're saying to yourself, right, Ira, like someone will wear bunny slippers at home while working. Well, not so funny now, is it? So actually, this picture was taken just before I was let go from my job, just this past Sunday night. On Easter, yeah, can you believe it? They fired me on Easter. I made the mistake of putting all my eggs in one basket, bump. So enjoy that picture. All right, so where were we? Right, dressing professionally. That can set you apart from others and get you noticed. It could be in a good way or it could be in a bad way, but it gets you noticed. It gives you instant credibility. People will treat you differently with an additional level of respect. And surprisingly, even with me, people take me seriously. So if you dress well, people will take you seriously as well. One more note on this: make sure your clothes fit well. If they're too small or too big, people will notice that as well, even if it's subconsciously, and that can immediately reverse the effect of making a good impression. People are very judgmental. They may think, wow, this person chose to wear those clothes to a professional users group. Have they heard of an iron for that shirt? Why would I want to ever recommend them for a job? So please make the effort to be sure you look nice. And it's significantly less money to take your jacket or pants to a tailor or your local dry cleaner if they do alterations, and get it sized properly than it maybe to buy a whole new outfit. But little things like that make a huge difference. But you need to plan ahead. You can't do it the night before. So dress professionally. This is a big one. When you arrive at the user group or during breaks, don't be afraid to introduce yourself to others, and do it with confidence. Say you're an introvert and terrified of approaching someone just to say hello. And I know it can be difficult, but consider that these other people at the user group event, they're just like you. They're likely in the same or similar role at their company, and they might be shy too. They'll appreciate you approaching them to say hi. And that can make a powerful first impression and can result in a great networking opportunity because you made the effort and made a connection. You reached out to them, and you can have a friend for life. Start by finding someone who's alone or in a small group and maybe ask them what brought them to the event. You can also use your name tag or the agenda or the refreshments as conversation starters. Hey, how about this buffet? Or, hi, I see from your name tag you work at New Balance. My ex-girlfriend has an active restraining order there. Do you know her? No? Okay. But that's a conversation starter. So feel free to use that one yourself. Seriously. But be friendly, smile, and use open body language. Remember to state your name and your role and your interest in the group clearly and confidently. All right, here's some examples. You should do this. This is perfectly done. Friendly, smiling, great eye contact, professional handshake, very confident. I give it 5 stars. Okay, so don't do this. In this case, the handshake attempt either flat out missed, or I'm going to have to assume that Jerry has some schmutz on his face that the other person with the man hands is trying to wipe off. So Either way, not very confident, poor eye contact, no smile. I give it 0 stars. All right, in this example, we have good eye contact. They're clearly engaged in conversation, possibly about some hand shadow puppets or something. They're an appropriate distance away from each other. I, again, give it 5 stars. Oh, here we go. We have some issues here. Decent eye contact. Judge Reinhold does have a small smile on his face, but clearly they're way too close to each other for a professional user group event. This interaction clearly took place before lunch. I don't think this would be possible after a few pieces of garlic bread from the buffet. But I think the point here that I'm trying to make is respect personal space when talking to your peers. Again, 0 stars. And I'm making light of these, but these are real things. Oh my God, what's this? So again, we have issues here. We'll give decent eye contact, but please be aware of how much you're talking. It's so much more important to listen to others. Otherwise, you might have to talk to the hand. Sheldon will say this, talk to the hand. So again, listen more than you talk. All right, networking isn't just about talking, but again, listening and engaging. So when you join a conversation, pay attention to what others are saying and show your interest by nodding, asking questions, and giving feedback. You can share your own opinions, your experiences, or challenges related to the topic, but avoid dominating the conversation or being too negative. People hate that. Try to find common ground and build rapport with others, but ask questions. Do it confidently. I got a question. Preferably open-ended ones, not just yes or no answers, but, be confident. Don't be shy. These are your peers, folks who do the same thing you do. Relax around them. Nothing bad's going to happen. And if you're more confident, the more likely you'll make a connection while networking. So don't be shy. So here, eye contact, take turns talking and listening, but don't shut down. Be open to opportunities. So it says, I don't know what cats being squashed sounds like in Lithuania, but now I have a pretty good idea. So, all right, one of the main goals of networking is to establish and maintain relationships with others. Therefore, you should always try to exchange contact info with the people you meet and connect with, and the ones you talk to at the user groups. Now, you can do this in several different ways. You can offer up your own contact info, or suggest maybe like a follow-up action, like sending them an article that may be of interest to them related to the group or your field, or connecting them with another resource or trading partner or contact, maybe inviting them to another event, or even scheduling a meeting if there's something that might be of mutual benefit. So sharing tips on how they handle a certain issue at work would be a great example. You talked about benchmarking. How do you guys deal with this there? So you can touch phones or send LinkedIn invites. Those are all great ways to connect with people. Ask for the business card if you still have those. Email addresses, phone numbers, social media profiles. And if after you had a few networking cocktails, maybe you lost your phone or can't remember your email address or your LinkedIn profile, or maybe even your name, you can always go old school. Just write it down somewhere safe. So keep that in mind. Exchange contact information. And
hey, Ira, may I jump in, please? Because what you're saying is these tips have a lot to do with the next question that we have from an attendee.
Please.
So, hi, Ira. With the pandemic changing management's mindset on in-person versus virtual attendance, what do you feel are the most important benefits of user groups that improve exponentially by being face-to-face?
Virtual events or training, you're either at your desk or you're on your couch and you're watching it, and you're not engaged. You don't have anybody around you, maybe your cat, but cats can't do EDI. I've tried, believe me. So the value of being interactive and being physically in proximity to someone to read their nonverbal communication, they're rolling their eyes or they're engaged. You can't do it from home. You really need to, if you want to benefit from making connections, say you're taking we'll talk about it a little later, like Mike Katoyan from EDI Academy. He used to do all of his events in person at a hotel in a conference room before the pandemic. Since that time, he's gone pretty much completely virtual, with the exception of user groups like RVCF or GS1 or NEECOM. That's the one place that they have face-to-face. And the folks that do attend those events make much better connections than the ones that are just, remote. There's no time to chat between coffee or lunch or whatever it is, but that's a big difference. It's night and day. So thank you for the question.
Absolutely.
All right. So, and feel free to jump in because you know me, I get on a roll and I talk. So the next big thing about effective ways to network at these groups, follow up and stay in touch. Do it quickly, do it within 24 hours. And thank these folks for their time and for taking the time to talk to you. Do it quickly, because don't tell yourself, oh, you know what, I'll do it later, because you won't. It just doesn't happen. You've already invested the money and the time to go to the group. You listened to the content from the speakers. You ate the cheesecake and you met some pretty cool people that do what you do. But don't miss out on the biggest benefit of the day, those professional contacts you made. Connections that either you can help out in the future or, just as importantly, someone who can help you someday. So don't procrastinate. Just send the email or the invite, to connect, whether it's LinkedIn and or whatever it is. Just connect. You might see them, later, another event, but you're not going to have that personal connection of knowing that you two have met and you know who they are. Also, say you got a cool article on something and you want to just send a link to them. That's a quick way to just send something, via email to them. Hey, I thought of you when I saw this article, or, here's something that I thought you might be of interest of. If they have any follow-up actions or items, get those out, because you might get some input, feedback, or you might get ignored or ghosted. Happens. But try to stay in touch regularly. And I know it's hard to do, but give an update on your progress, or if you get promoted, or if you've got a cool project coming up, or whatever it is, your achievements or challenges, ask them a question. You can also invite them to join your network on LinkedIn or Twitter or other platforms. Just, you're building your network. So here's an example. Last night I was in bed with my phone looking at LinkedIn messages and trying to promote this event and conference. And I just took the opportunity to scroll through my contacts. And it was a friend or someone I knew for a while. I just go, hey, just saying hi, hope you're doing well. Let's catch up at some point. And I got like 3 or 4 messages back this morning of people that, just to maintain, even if it's just 2 seconds to cut and paste a little message in, it doesn't take much, just a small effort. And those folks will remember you. And next time you do see each other in person, it's going to be great because you've got that relationship, even if it's just virtual. All right. So this is good stuff, I think. We'll see what the feedback's like. Finally, be consistent and be proactive. So attend the events as much as you can. Try to hit every event for the user group. Even if there's nothing on the agenda that really jumps out at you for a particular conference, the speakers, they'll come and go. But your fellow professionals, the ones that you're building these long-term relationships with and friendships with, they will be there. And they will be genuinely excited to see you and to catch up. They want to share updates about themselves and their families and their company, or maybe they know some upcoming job openings or other opportunities that'll be happening. Maybe another colleague who might be a perfect fit for the role who just got laid off, or maybe it's a good opportunity for yourself. Wayne Marshall, again, founded NEECOM. He was the EDI manager at Polaroid for many years. He was at NEECOM. Obviously he ran the events and started them. He ran into Joe Gilbody, who started EDI Specialist. And Joe said to Wayne, hey, I heard that you're leaving Polaroid. I would love to have you come work at my company. I've seen what you can do. I've seen your work ethic, and I know that you'd be great at my company. And that's how he got his job that he's had for forever at EDI Specialist, through the user group. And we'll talk more about that later, but it's just another example of being consistent.
Ira, another great question in the chat, or in the Q&A. How do I find out if there's an EDI user group near me in Minneapolis, or do you know of one?
Great question. I don't know of one there. I know we've had folks from the Midwest, even from the West Coast, come out to Boston for our events or attend virtually. But as I mentioned earlier, most of the groups just don't exist anymore. They used to be all over the place, North Carolina and Atlanta and California and Florida. But we're pretty much it. So if, we do have, if we have something that is of interest, say you're new to EDI, or you have a new person that just came on board who doesn't really know much about it. They're being trained, but we have EDI 101 classes, usually once a year, in person at our events. So again, it's just about being able to talk your company into sending you there, taking the time off to go and do the 1 or 2 day training. But if you're interested in starting one locally, be happy to help you, talk about that and see what kind of interest we can get. Because if you're connected with trading partners around the area and folks want to get together, hey, we'll be willing to offer support in that way. But not much is going on there, unfortunately. All right, thank you. Another great question. So you want to grow in your career. This is the meat of the thing here. So user groups, how can they boost your real life career prospects and your professional growth? So this is secret stuff. Not everyone gets to know this stuff. So you want to grow in your career, in your industry. You're asking me, hey, Ira, how do I do that? Well, listen up. I'm going to tell you how to do it, but don't tell anybody. Okay. Shh. Okay. First, identify your goals. What is it that you want to accomplish in your career? You need to set a goal in order to get there. Otherwise, you're just like me, spinning your wheels. Wait, that didn't come out right. What do you want in your goals? Do you want credibility? Do you want to be considered a thought leader in your industry? Here's a thought leader, Tony D'Angelo. Do you want to develop leadership skills? These skills translate directly into real life resume enhancers. When you're looking for your next promotion or your next role. Say you want to be an executive level, increasing your knowledge of current challenges, current opportunities, ways to improve, cost savings, as well as the future trends coming into your industry is exactly what companies are looking for in the next generation of leadership. And where can you acquire these skills and information? Hint, it's being involved with the user group. So, and finally, do you want to give back to your community, professional community? And this is my favorite part of being involved with NEECOM. I'm a Rotarian in Laconia. And those of you who aren't familiar with Rotary International, it's a service organization, local business owners and professionals and retirees who donate time and they raise money and they give it all away to local nonprofits, food banks and whatever. But their motto is service over self. And I love that. And that's really what I'm all about, giving back to my profession that's given me so much. Professional nonprofit user groups are similar in that way. You don't give away money, but professionals like yourselves attend and support these groups. They donate their time in order to help others gain knowledge, make connections with fellow professionals, and give back in a selfless way. They volunteer to serve as board members or planning events or promoting the groups, getting speakers and sponsors. And they warmly welcome people who share an interest in what they do, whatever it's based on, or the user group is based on. So, you're saying it seems overwhelming, Ira, but how do I start? Well, let's talk about the power of the professional association. It's about building the relationships. That's where the real value is. So I think we talked about this a little bit earlier. But the first thing is find a group that interests you. I mean, not all of you are EDI folks. So say you're in risk management. There are professional risk management user groups probably in your area. Find a group that interests you. Do a little research. Just type in user group risk management in Google. Check out their website. There's contact information. But I remember when I first got involved with NEECOM, I was encouraged to attend X12 EDI standard calls, kind of give back to the industry. It was on 810 invoice standards. And they meet every few weeks on a conference call around lunchtime. And they would go into very detailed discussions about a qualifier to a field, discussing the pros and the cons for what it felt like was forever. And honestly, I would fall asleep on 90% of those calls. I just had no interest in that topic or that group. Developing document standards is just not my jam. Some people love it, and they make lifelong friends through that stuff. But something that I am interested in, I volunteered at a cable access TV station for many years. I was on the board of that. Having access to a TV studio, that interested me. I got to read the local news or host live music shows or do my own comedy. That was, yes, please, I want to do that. So joining the board of a professional users group, First thing you do is attend a meeting. You show up. You go to a conference. Ask yourself, do you feel comfortable there? Are there topics of interest? How's the food? If it's an event that you'd like to attend again, that's a good indication it may be a good fit for you. Talk to the people there, whether it's the people at the registration desk or maybe a board member, or, their attendees. The board members, they wear name tags. You can tell who they are. Ask them questions, learn more about the organization. And, if they aren't at the registration desk, and then check the bar. They're probably in the bar. And then reach out, talk to the current leadership, membership chair, president, VP. And if you like it, go to future events. Be a regular, be visible, interact with other attendees. Volunteer. Say, yeah, I want to help out. What can I do? Go early to the next event. Help set up. Stay late. Help clean up. Talk to people. Be visible. That's the best way to get involved. Finally, learn how the board operates. Ask to attend a board meeting to check it out. And this is important. Read the bylaws. And if any past minutes are available, or ask to see the financials. Is the organization financially stable? Does the board have officers insurance? Have they filled out their 990 tax forms or online? Look online. Due diligence is required before you join any nonprofit board. So check that stuff out. And then if you like the experience and, ask to join the board, they're always looking for new people to get involved, to provide new energy, new skills. Take on an active role. Volunteer to be a committee co-chair, maybe in membership or speaker recruitment or marketing, something that you're into. And learn about it. You don't have to know everything when you show up. Just pick it up over a few events until you're comfortable. What this does, it builds immediate credibility. When you can say on your resume that you're on the board of an industry users group, it shows that you're actively engaged in organizations that are serious about giving back to your profession, and that you're involved on the inside. So let's talk about that more. So that's what builds credibility. Eric Bloom, for example, who's a frequent speaker at NEECOM, he's the past president of the National Speakers Association. That brings credibility. He's a best-selling author, former CIO. That brings credibility. So being involved in these groups, or any user group, brings credibility. All right. So now you're on the board. What do you do next? Hopefully I'm walking you guys through this step by step. So this is the key part. So in order to reach your goals, you do these things. Pay attention. So say you want to become the co-chair of the speaker recruitment. How's that going to help you meet your goals? So you're going to be in communication with a wide variety of people who are considered thought leaders, subject matter experts. Speakers cover a wide range of technical and non-technical topics. Speakers at our events, they don't just talk about tech stuff. I was watching a video today. We had a drummer come in, do a team building exercise. They brought in 50 or 60 Home Depot orange buckets and drumsticks, and everyone gathered around the circle and started banging on the drums, through a session in unison. It was so cool. So they have fun things as well. It's not just boring technical stuff. Bring in speakers that talk about mindfulness. Well, we had a speaker that was a blind mountain climber who climbed mountains with his dog and a guide. So, inspirational stuff like that. So bring in speakers that cover a wide range of topics, but you're connecting with these people. Likely they're CEOs or CIOs or vice presidents or founders or sales and marketing people or talented developers who create the software, create the technology. You're offering them the opportunity to share their knowledge with your group, and you are the one in touch with them. You're checking in. You're offering to help them. You're providing information, checking their presentations, and developing a relationship with them. You welcome them at the event. You introduce them to others. You follow up afterwards, send them a thank you note. It gives you a chance to network with these high-profile leaders again in the future. If you reach out to them, they're probably going to respond if they remember you. And you have the ability to keep in touch with them. So this is about building your network. So if your role is to help with recruiting speakers, you'll be meeting these folks. If you have 5 or 6 speakers at an event, after a couple of years, you've got dozens of respected industry leaders, CEOs, vice presidents, vendor technical, salespeople, and you're building a powerful network of colleagues and hopefully friends. So hopefully that's new news for you guys, because I thought that was pretty, I thought it was pretty cool. Second, say you would take on a role related to membership. These folks are your peers. They do what you do at a wide range of other companies. They could be your trading partners. They could be in other industries or fields. Maybe it's a tech resource. Maybe it's a manager. Maybe it's a director. But overall, remember, you're building your professional network. So these fellow members, whether it's NEECOM or something else, they have the information of what's going on inside their companies. They know who's getting promoted, who's retiring, what new systems they're bringing in. This is valuable information that you can get from friends and colleagues. Say you want to become a co-chair of conference planning. How's that going to help you achieve your goals? You want an executive leadership position, or maybe you're an individual contributor, wants to grow into a manager's role. All the skills or techniques involved in leading a professional user group translate directly into giving you the ability to hone or expand your skills for future management or leadership roles. Managing people and tasks, conference, you're managing people and tasks. Scheduling, doing contract negotiations for AV or food. Conflict resolution, stuff happens. Your interviewing skills, maybe you're just talking to people, having professional interactions. Maybe you're dealing with difficult people who are pissed off. Strategic planning of the organization. Where are you going? That's a big management skill. Forecasting. How many people do we expect at this event? These are real world resume enhancing skills that show potential hiring managers that you got these skills and you practice them as a board member of that group. Okay. Now, how are we doing on time? Oh, we're almost okay. So now you're on your way of reaching your goal. Your credibility, you got credibility, thought leader, you got leadership skills, you got executive level ambitions, and you're giving back to your community. All right, so future perspectives. I'm gonna go through these quickly to give you guys time to ask some questions and talk about that gift at the end. Digital transformation, virtual meetups we talked about, post-COVID. AI and analytics expect to improve our user experiences, personalize interactions, and predict member preferences. And they can deliver tailored content. So AI and analytics is going to be a big deal going forward. It is today. Hybrid events, again, remote and in person. You get a lot more in person. X12 tried to go the hybrid route, but the folks who were remote, they didn't get much out of it, and they ended up going back to either in person or all virtual. And then there's sustainability. Folks, they're trying to be socially responsible for the environment. So let's summarize and we'll wrap up. We talked about the user. What is the user group? What are the different kinds? Benefits, advantages, challenges, effective ways to network, how they can boost your career and professional growth, the future. Again, Q&A, next steps, and surprise. We talked about the quiz recap. What's the best way to get a job in your industry? Let's do a little quiz. Do you submit your resume to an online job site? A, do you build and utilize your professional network now to learn of jobs before they're posted? That's B. Or C, arrange for a mysterious disappearance of someone whose job you want. Or D, just A and B. So think about that. We'll give you the answer later if you're not sure. Just don't pick C. All right, takeaways from today. Attend groups regularly, be approachable, participate, ask questions, exchange contact info, use social media, volunteer, attend the social events, hang out at the bar afterwards. And if you believe in the group, if you like it, join the board. Consistent attendance demonstrates commitment and allows you to build relationships over time. Offer to help, be willing to assist others, and dress professionally. It builds rapport, establishes you as a resource, and provides guidance. So I don't know. So basically, that's pretty much the presentation. We'll get to Q&A in just a second. We want to talk about NEECOM briefly. It is happening in 2 weeks, May 8th in Boston, in Newton, at the 4 Points Hotel, right above the Mass Pike. Here's our website, neecom.org is where you can register. Again, the cost to attend, $200 for members, $250 for non-members. But because you're here today, well, I'll tell you in a second, but here's the speakers: CEO, CTO, former CIOs, high-level people that are presenting on topics of interest to the B2B EDI community. Registration and breakfast starts at 8. We wrap at 4 with our raffle in between. You got a ton of content, AI topics, standards updates, all kinds of cool stuff. The $890 billion boomerang, redefining retail's return journey, and our keynote speaker, how AI is disrupting B2B EDI, a 2-year outlook. Here's the gift, guys, and right on time. So I mentioned $250 for non-members. Here's your present. You can come for free. We're not going to charge you. Here's a coupon code to get you in. If you want to come and practice some of these very specific techniques that I've been speaking to, come to the event, try it out, network. What an opportunity. Take the day. If you got to take a PTO day, if your boss doesn't want to give you a training day off, take a PTO day. Show up. It's a $250 value for free 2 weeks from tomorrow. Here's the code, webinar 2025. Go to the website, type that in at checkout. Here's it's highlighted. Just click apply and you will get in for free. You can register today or anytime, preferably sooner, so we can call in numbers today to the event. But let folks know this is what we're about and this is how you can improve your career. All right, questions?
We do have one question, Ira, right now. So even though our company isn't in New England, could we use the NEECOM conference to have some of our vendor meetings, or maybe we can speak there too?
Oh my God, yes. That'd be amazing. We would love to host that. If you want to come and speak about something you're doing at your place, we're always looking for speakers, topics, and content that's relevant to the group. Come invite your vendors. Come meet with them. Absolutely. We got the hotel space. Come on, do it. We're all good. If you guys have other questions, I know we're out of time. Please just send it to info@neecom.org or reach out to me directly. My contact info is all over LinkedIn and everywhere else in the NEECOM website. Thank you all for your time today. Again, please consider attending the event. Tell your friends. Linda, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity, and hope everyone has a great day.
Yeah, well, thank you, Ira, for sharing your insights, your experience, expertise, and always it's really a true delight to have you. To our audience, thank you for your active participation and questions. We hope you found it informative. If you can make it to Boston in 2 weeks, do go meet Ira and the other industry gurus in person at NEECOM for free. You won't be disappointed. Our next ECGrid Presents webinar will be on May 21st with another very special guest, our very own John Guttrell. The registration link is in the chat, so you can click on it now and see what that is all about. Be sure to follow Lauren Data on LinkedIn, sign up for our newsletter, and we will be sending you the replay and recording of this presentation in the next few days. Again, thank you. It's been a pleasure, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.